from your OneDrive out to people. But you got to be careful with that, because if you share a lot of documents or you allow people to have access to folders, it's less restrictive, right? It's harder to maintain and manage that access. So that's why SharePoint is more ideal for team collaboration. All right, so how do I create a Microsoft SharePoint site? That's the basic thing. I want to do one. How do I create one? So I created one for testing purposes. I created one called HeapCon 2024. So I'm going to click on that. But to create a site, you would need to do it within Microsoft Teams. So the Microsoft Teams should be part of your licensing of Office 365. I know it is for us at Lone Star College. Under other universities, I'm pretty sure it's the same way. Depending on your licensing structure, you might want to reach out to your IT department and see what licensing level that you are. Ours is an A5. All right, so Teams. So if you see here, there's a Teams plus icon there. What you would want to do is click on that and create team, and then they have templates. So if it's a staff environment, you'll click on staff. If you're doing this for a classroom, you can click on class, and you can do assignments and things like that, teacher, student, language. But we're going to do staff. So I clicked on that and I created that HeapCon that we're going to test there. I already did this just to save on some time. But that's basically how you create your site. Once you create your site, it will ask, hey, who do you want to give access to the site? And then from there, you can add your emails of your employees or your staff members or your team to give them access. So I'm going to kind of show you how that looks. So this is my site. I added one person to the site as a member. I can click on add members and then add more. So from here, I can decorate this page how I would want. If I want to put a nice announcements, if I want to put important links, I can develop this site more like so as a website, so my team can have access to resources or material very, very quickly. So as for this demo, we are just going to focus on documents, right? Sharing documents, storing documents, and things like that. So here on the left, there is a folder called General. That's by default. I can either delete that or add a new folder. But as for right now, I'm gonna keep General. The best method is to keep General there, because there's other things like Microsoft Forms that if it's tied to a SharePoint site, that it looks for a general folder to add things automatically. So you probably want to keep that in there and build within that. So within that, I created a folder called HeapCon, and then I can do other things like that. So if I want to create another folder, I can create that. I can put testing. I can do a different color if I want to, and I can create that and so forth. So it's that easy. If I look at here, this folder here, and I want to manage this access, I can. So right now, there's groups that are assigned to this folder to have access. There we have owners, we have visitors, and we have members. By default, these three groups will kind of tell you who has what type of access. So an owner has access to add people to that group. To give access to that to anybody else. A member has access to edit, delete, upload any type of documents. A visitor is only set to download, right? View and download. And I can change that. So I can change it to however I would want to do. I can remove access from this group but by default, that is the groups that no matter what you create within that folder or within that site will have these groups automatically. So there's a couple ways that you can add access, right? So if I do it based on people, right, I can do it I want off. So let's say this testing folder I want to add. I click on that and I'll type in somebody's email. I'm gonna do Mari since she's on here. And then I'll select her, and then I can send her access, and I can give her only view, or I can do edit, and then I can do that way, right? So I can send it, she has access now. So now if I go to manage access, I have her as a person, and then I have my groups. But let's say I have a bunch of people that I want to add, and I want them to immediately have access to this folder or to this site, right? You can do that based on site. So if I do it on the site, they'll have access to all the folders within that site, right? So let's say I want to do that. So here, if I click on this gear and I go into site permissions, and then I go to advanced, or this is the owners, this is the members, and this is the visitors. I can click on advanced permissions. And then these are the groups that I have that they automatically got created. This is all automatic. So let's say I have a bunch of people that I want to have read and write access. I can click on new and then enter their emails, right? So let's say I want to put Mari back in this group, and then I want to put somebody else in this group. Let's say this is one of my supervisors. I can add them. I can send them an invitation to the site so they can see it, or I don't have to, right? Let's say they already have the link, they just need access. I can click on share, and then I can basically add more people. So now all those people that I've added are now part of the members group, and then they automatically have access to my site. All right, so now if I do a refresh and then click on access, it's the same thing. So instead of having the individuals I added to that group, it just has the group name. And I know, like, hey, if I need to do a mass removal of staff members, I can. I just go back to the advanced settings, go to permissions, and I can select a bunch of people and then remove them. So those are particular ways on how to do access to a SharePoint site. But let's say you want to be a little bit more secure, and let's say that this folder, I want to have access to only 2 individuals, right? I don't want everybody in these groups, or I want to narrow it down to just specific people within my staff. You can do that as well. You click on here, click on manage access, and then you click on advanced settings. See, all these groups have access to that HeatCon folder, and plus myself. Go to advanced settings, and then this is just for that particular folder. So let's say I want to get rid of members, I want to get rid of visitors, I want nobody to have access to this folder, so I remove those permissions, right? And then I go back to my folder, I do a refresh, and then I go to manage access, and then now I only have 2 groups. Only the owners of the site, and I can add individuals in the site, or I can just add individuals. So let's say somebody else. Let's say I want to do LaShonda, grant her access, refresh. And then if I go to manage access, it's LaShonda and myself and these 2 groups, which is the same group. And then if I go to this one, manage access, LaShonda doesn't have access to this one, only Maricela, and then these 4 groups. That's how you can alter permissions for a particular folder within your site. So it's not everybody has access. You can kind of limit to what you want, how you want it. That's how you kind of secure your documents and folders, and basically give monitor access control, right? So here is this folder here. So what can I do with SharePoint? So let's say I want to add some documents here in SharePoint. It's very, very, very easy. So I have a HipCon agenda. I can drag and drop, and then it's going to automatically sync into this. And then if I want to look at manage access, everybody in this group that I already dictated on that folder has access automatically, right? So it's very, very simple dragging and dropping and things like that, right? If I can drag and drop this email, that's simple. The only things that you had to be very careful of with SharePoint and even OneDrive is that you don't want to do rename documents. You don't want to name documents with symbols, right? Like an exclamation point, a percent symbol, brackets, things like that. SharePoint does not like it, and it will let you know that. So that's all cool, right? So my team has access. They can go on a Word document. We can edit it together. We don't need to check it out, and things like that. But how is this, there's some of our users that they basically like, hey, I don't like going to a website to look at my files. I like it on my computer. How do I get it on computer? Because that's what I'm used to, right? I like going to my documents. I like editing it. I like making sure that it's on my computer. What if I don't have internet connectivity? What if what if I don't remember the URL to the SharePoint site? I don't like bookmarking things. There's so many reasons why you don't, want to always go to the actual online website. That's no problem. SharePoint can do that. So this is how you do that. So this is a sync button here. So if you have the OneDrive application on your computer, you can see mine is right here. What it does is it will sync a particular folder or a whole site to your computer. So if I open up a regular folder and if I scroll down, you'll see that I have a OneDrive Lone Star College. These are all of my SharePoint sites that I have access to. So I can click on these clouds and it will download everything on that site to my computer. Or if I want to do individual folders, or let's say I don't want to download anything at all, I just want the shortcut to be here on my computer. And then this is my personal OneDrive, right? So let's say I want this folder, the Hecon, or the whole site here. I want that to my folder here. So you'll click on sync. And then it'll say, hey, do you want to open in OneDrive? I'll click on open. And then what it will do, if I open up my folder here, and you can do this in Windows and Mac. I'm doing this on a Mac. So now this folder is here. So it resembles what I have on SharePoint, right? So I go to HeapCon, it's going to download, or it's going to show me what I have in that folder. So this is what I dragged and dropped earlier. So I can open this up and it will open up Word, right? So this is my agenda. It's going to open up Word and then I'm good to go, right? So I can edit, I can make changes in real time. So how does that look like? So let me go ahead and open this up. See, I am online right now. This is my Word document. If I go online to this folder and open up on the web page version, you'll see that I'm on here twice. So that's me in the red. And then there's another person that is online, which is me again. So you'll see that twice. See, that's the other me that's on the web page doing purple, right? So I can type things like that. And then it's going to reflect here on the web page site once it refreshes, when it catches up. There it goes. So I'm collaborating with myself, but obviously you'll be with your team at the same time. One person is on the web page, the other person is using the Word app on their computer, just like they will be editing a document on their computer themselves. So it's very, very useful. It's very, very easy to collaborate. But the thing is, it auto saves and it's accessible anywhere with the internet connectivity. So I don't have to worry about if my team has access. I can set that when I set up my SharePoint site, and I don't have to worry about that at all moving forward unless I want to manage different access control with different folders. Very, very easy, very, very convenient. So this SharePoint and OneDrive, they integrate with Microsoft Teams. So it's all about team collaboration. So if I open up my Teams app, right, and then I go to my team, this is the HipCon right here, and I go to my files, it's here as well. So my team will have access to this site, which does chatting. I can start a post. I can go to my files. Then I can add other applications, like for instance, Planner. I can access any type of projects, any Microsoft Forms, things like that. Microsoft Lists, Power Apps. I can add all these to here, and Microsoft Teams application acts like a hub. So it's easy to be accessible. So let's say I want to do the SharePoint site. I'm going to add it. And then let's say I want to do the documents, and I will save it. And then it's going to add that part of the where I can go to files or my posts and things like that. It will add that there to it, right? So if I add a planner, it'll look for a planner, and I click on save, and then it'll add it to there. So I can add buckets, I can assign things to my team, and so forth. All right, so that is on a computer. How does it look like if it's on my phone or an iPad or I go mobile? Right, I'm working on documents, and my teams are working on documents, so that's the situation. We have all of our documents in our SharePoint site. Let me get back one. I have all my documents on my SharePoint site, and I need access. Let's say that, something came up, I had to leave the office, and all of something, I need to look something up, or I need to edit something, or I need to send something, and I don't have my computer. Well, you do have a mobile phone or a iPad, and you do have an internet connectivity. What can that give me, right? So I'm in a pickle. Well, this is how it's going to look on a iPad. So on an iPad, what you'll do is you can open up your SharePoint site. So I have the SharePoint app here on the bottom left. I'll click on that. And then there goes my SharePoint site that I created. I can go to documents. And then there goes that general folder that it created for me. And there goes that HipCon folder that I did. And then there goes my folders that I am working on. So I can either easily send this to somebody. So if I can share it, I can email it if I needed to email it. I can send it through a chat. I can put it to my team and things like that. I can save it to my iPad if I wanted to, right? Or I can edit right here on my document automatically. So it's that easy, right? I don't have to worry about me not being in my office. I don't have to worry about that. I need to VPN into my organization to get access to these files. I always have it on demand available to me. So it's that convenience, that efficiency, and I can still collaborate or look at something right away if a team member wants me to look at something. All right, so that is SharePoint and OneDrive. I also wanted to share it to you, but let's say somebody deleted something or somebody changed something on a document that I didn't like, right? So I go in here, they changed the verbiage, they added this stuff here, and I was like, why would somebody do that? They made a mistake. Or let's say it's an Excel sheet and they changed a bunch of formulas. What you could do is called versioning. You can go back in time when those changes were made and go back in time to the changes before it was made. So that's called versioning. You see right here, it's called version history. So if I click on that, it has automatically when somebody modified something. So I can go back in time to 10 o'clock. Let's say, hey, I know for sure when I saved it originally, right? Every time you save it, it will give you like a number, a version number. So let's say I want to go back to the original, right? Before any changes were made, I can click on this. It will download that file for me. And then I can restore it. So if I open this, it took off it took off that, right? Those are the difference. So I saved my data, right? I'm safe. Somebody made a mistake, they changed something, or they ruined a formula that I had on an Excel sheet, I can go back. So that is awesome. You know, you can't necessarily say if your institution is still doing network drives where, hey, I have to connect to a department drive, that's hard to get back. They do backups, but not like this, right? So that is also benefit from using SharePoint. All right, so next topic I'm going to move into is Microsoft Forms. So Microsoft Forms is another application that is great, that is available to you all if you have the 365 licensing, right? Subscription. So this is basically the Microsoft Forms dashboard. You can create one here. You can create a quiz. You can create a form. You can do a lot of things. And I'm going to show you some examples, right? But so I have one already started, right? It's untitled. So here you can add a template. You can make it really nice. And then you can add questions. So it asks you like that. You can put you know, it has AI tied to it. So we'll try to predict what you want to do. So let's say I want to do, you know, a normal regular question. Right. And then I'll put 2. And then hamburger. Right. So as you can see, this is the AI, right? Is trying to predict what you're going to do next. So they say, hey, you probably want to add salad, and they'll pop it in there. What I also can do is I can do branching, right? You can do a branching question right here, where if they pick pizza, then it can go to a next question, right? So if they pick pizza, I can put another question that says, what type of toppings do you like? Pepperoni, sausage, you know, mushrooms, jalapeno, pineapple, things like that. So if you're familiar with SurveyMonkey or FormStack or Google, the Google surveys, you can do something similar to this as well. And it's tied to your institution, right? So you can do a lot of things that are great for surveying, and it's available. You don't have to pay for it. It's part of it. So what if one of the new features that they have in Forms is called Present? Now, Present will kind of give you something like Mentimeter. I have one up right here. Let me see if I can move this out of the way. Yep. Right here. So I'm going to test the Present feature. The question is to say something positive about today. So if I present it, it will give you a QR code, and then you can scan, and then you can submit your answers, right? And just like Mentimeter, it will put up the most popular answer. It will, you know, just like that, it will just present it, right? So that is also a great feature. So if you're looking into Mentimeter just for that functionality, just know that Microsoft Forms can now do that as well, right? All right, so I am going to go a little bit more into depth of what Forms can do and how Forms integrates with SharePoint. So if I click on, for instance, my responses, click on view results, it'll kind of give me a overall picture. So let me actually go to another form that that has a lot of responses. So let's do. Let's do this. So I have in my campus, we do AV walkthrough checklists. So when an AV vendor installs something in one of our rooms, we have a checklist that goes through and asks a bunch of questions, right? You know, who's the vendor? What time? When did they install the equipment? What's the serial number of some of the equipments that we had to import into inventory? Things like that. So these are questions that I give to my technicians so they can make sure that we have that information. So if we need to go back to that information, we have it, right? Especially for audits and things like that. So if I go to responses, it has all this information, right? But if I want to see the raw data, I can open up in Excel. And as you can see here on top, it is added to my SharePoint site. It's stored into my SharePoint site. So the people that have access to this site has access to this data. And it's very, very useful, right? I don't have to manually share it to them or send it to them. They automatically have this access. So that is great for what Forms does, right? And it's part of my institution. I don't have to bring it over and save it from SurveyMonkey or FormStack and things like that. It is automatically integrated into my SharePoint site that my team has access to. All right, so that's how it looks like. So what else can it do? So I'm gonna show you some examples. This is one of our college feedback forms. So students will fill this out. So I'm gonna fill it out. But our staff, one of the important things that they wanted to do is they wanted to capture the data of the user or the student that submits this form, right? So let me refresh it and submit it again. All right, so I submitted it. So this form automatically goes into a Microsoft list. So what is a Microsoft list? A Microsoft list is like Excel with a different caveats to it, right? It is really great for automation and integration into other applications. So I submitted this. Then it goes into our Microsoft list. Let's see if it went. Right. Well, first thing it does is before it goes to Microsoft List, this is the programming that it goes into, because the staff member is like, hey, I want to be able to capture the student ID number from the person that submits it, right? Because I don't want to have to go to a different site and look that up. So this is the commands to that. So it did it about a minute ago, the one I just submitted. And this is what it did. So the form was submitted, and this is Power Automate. So I'm using Microsoft Forms, Power Automate, and Microsoft List for the visual. And all of that integrates. So Microsoft Forms was submitted. It goes to Power Automate. What Power Automate does, it does a lot of programming and automation. And you'll see this, right? So it grabbed the list, it grabbed the results, it gets all the details of the questions, right? What I answered. It grabs all that data. This is the output. It converts it to our time zone, Central Standard Time. It grabs the information of the person that submitted it, right? It was me, so it grabbed my email address. And it grabs all the other data. For instance, all of this. Then it created it inputted it into a Microsoft Lists, but most importantly, he added student ID. Because this is the programming that goes behind it. here is what I dictated. It's like, hey, I have a field that is student ID. And then it did the code for that. This is the code that says, hey, grab student ID number here. So we had to input get user profile body employee ID, which is also a student ID. So how does it look at the end result? So if I do a refresh, oops. For some reason, it did not go. But let's see that. Let's try it again. No, yes, no, yes. Let's see if it goes this time. Run it. All right, 9 seconds ago. Let's see if I got the right list. Yeah, I'm in the wrong list, that's why. So Microsoft list, like I said, you want to think about that as a, there we go. So as you see, it inputted all this data, and then these are the two responses that I did just a couple of seconds ago. And most important, it pulled my student ID, including the responses that I got earlier. So now I don't have to look up the student ID, right? It grabbed the email of the person that submitted it, grab the student ID. If I want it, I can get the zip code of the address that's in the database. If I'm looking for where the areas of the submissions are being put in, I can grab their direct supervisor, things like that. If they were an employee, things like that, I can grab that information automatically. All right, so I'm going to kind of rush through this because I know I got 5 more minutes. The other example is that we have I created a marketing request form. And then this is a form, right? It's like a ticketing system, right? First name, last name. So I'm gonna do Alex, and then Alex at Lone Star. And then this form is used by our Comreal department to submit requests for their services. So this is, I just basically copied it over there from there. And then I am a staff member. So I'm filling this out, and let's say that I want a newsletter submission, and then I want the due date of the submission. I want it to be on the newsletter by March 1st. And I'm going to give them a screenshot of what I want them to put in their newsletter, right? So I uploaded that file. Oops, I forgot? Let's see here. Right, did I upload it? It seems like I didn't. There it goes. And then I submit it. So this form gets submitted. It goes through all of this, this programming. The form gets submitted. It gets the details. It converts my time zone. It looks for the attachment that I submitted. And then it has a condition. If it has an attachment, it goes through these process. If it does not have an attachment, it goes through this process. And then the end result is this planner. So it goes into our planner. Let me refresh. And then here is the task, right? I just submitted this. It's a newsletter submission. I submitted it for March 1st. My name is Alex. I did that. And then this is the screenshot that I did, right? Or what I uploaded. And then now I can assign that to my a team member automatically, right? So let's say I assign it to LaShonda, and I say, hey, the due date for this project If they want it on the first, I'm gonna put the first. So this is a high importance, and then then now I can assign it. And then it's color coded automatically based on the selection that I did. So I selected it to be, a staff member or a department, and it got the color blue. That's part of the programming that we wanted to do. So if I, for instance, where it says red, blue, green, purple, and things like that, this is the other one that I did prior, but I selected a different department, and that department was specified a color, and then it got purple. So when I look at my dashboard, I can easily organize all these tasks based on department, or I can base it on, people assigned and things like that. So I can easily assign my task all from a form that got submitted for a service. So which is awesome. The last demo that I have is another form that we are going to do for our registration. So the student fills out the form, right? They submit it, then it automatically goes into our Power app. This is a Power app. So the form has all the questions here that has been selected. And let's say that I want to assign it to another department. We have multiple departments here that we can assign. I can go to tasks. I can click on edit. And then I can start writing. I can put comments. I can put an indicator like, hey, the student has a standing probation. This needs to go to admissions. And then I can assign it to somebody in our organization, right? So when I assign it to somebody, they get an automatically email notification that something got assigned. So I'm going to send this Johnny Appleseed to the admissions department. I hit save. I go back. That person left NSO department. If I go to admissions, there goes Johnny Appleseed. If I go to tasks, I see a work history of notes and comments based on that student, right? So it all started from a form, a Microsoft form, then it went into Power Automate, then it went into a Power App, and now I can collaborate with the team and do kind of like ticketing system to make sure that, hey, these students are taken care of. Well, that is all I have, but these are just examples of what you can do. This is total DIY, do it yourself. There's a lot of research on YouTube, on the website. Microsoft has a lot of job aids on how you can integrate a lot of these tools that you have in your disposal to make your job a little bit easier.
Hey, Alex, the room's going to close in about 30 seconds.
So thank you. And I hope that you guys look into your Office 365 subscription.
Thank you, Alex. Great presentation. Have a great day.
Thank you.